Boo! Did I scare you? I'm only 4 videos into the series and I'm already out of intros, but this video is about Khemia 2, Fall of Alchemy. This game is a direct sequel to the first game, Khemia Alchemists of al-revis, and it's really hard to say whether this game is good or not, because gameplay-wise, it's a huge improvement over the first game. It keeps everything that worked and fixes most of what didn't work. For example, the day and night cycle is fixed, the RNG-based synthesizing is gone, but the writing is so incredibly bad that every time I'm not fighting or exploring, I want to quit the game. Now, if you haven't seen my review of the first game, don't worry, you'll still understand my points, but I really recommend watching it afterwards because I'll be referencing some of the mechanics. So let me start with the negatives. When I say the writing is bad, I'm not talking about the main plot itself. I think the plot is fine. It's a very generic JRPG plot where the mana populations, these things, are decreasing, and the Mana King is trying to decide whether they should all return to the Mana world or stay in the human world. What I hate about the writing though is that there are 2 routes in this game. You can either play as Reis, the guy with the blue hair, or Ulrika, the girl with the blonde hair, who are kind of like rivals, but you need to play them both to get to the true ending. And these two follow a very similar plotline. About 70% of both routes are the same, so you're just seeing them from a different perspective. They take place mostly in the same dungeons, same objectives, and usually it ends with either fighting your rival's party or teaming up with them. They really forces you to play the game a second time just so you can get to the real ending. Also, it's really weird to me that for most of the game there's no real antagonist. The antagonists in this game never really feel threatening. They're just like Team Rocket from Pokemon, where they're just minor inconveniences until the very end, when the game suddenly expects you to take them seriously. They also introduces a lot of plot points or questions that doesn't go anywhere or are left unanswered. There's literally a subplot where it turns out that someone at the school is embezzling money. The party finds out, confront them, and say, "We'll expose them," and then everyone just moves on. Nothing changes, and it's never brought up again. And then there's the characters. I swear, it feels like the writers are either drunk or high when they come up with these characters, because they're as shallow as puddles of water. So take Lily for example. She likes ponies, she likes Reis, and that's basically it. Her entire character arc is just trying to get into a relationship with Reis. And it's not just Lily, most of the cast is written like this. So another example is Goto. He wears a fursuit and is a gentleman slash pervert, and he just goes around flirting with the entire school without the game ever explaining what he actually is. It's like the writers come up with these characters while drunk, then had to finish them the next morning and just went, ship it. So the writing definitely didn't justify 2 playthroughs, which is a shame because the gameplay is actually great. Also, real quick, before we move on to the good part, I'm sick and tired of shitty underwater levels, and this game might be the biggest offender I've ever played. Anyway, now the good part, the gameplay. So this game carries over a lot of the same mechanics from the first game. Some of them get small tweaks or balance improvements, while some got completely reworked to make them a lot more enjoyable. For example, the combat is mostly the same. Turn order is still determined by a timeline, and everyone acts according to their position on it, and some of the enemies are also really well designed. One of my favorite examples is the final boss. It can actually hide the entire timeline, so you have no idea who's acting next. And the variable strike mechanic is also here, but it's been renamed to Intimate Strike and Intimate Support. Intimate Strike is a powerful attack, and Intimate Support gives you buffs or other effects. It's also much easier to activate because you don't need a specific party setup anymore. Any two characters can trigger these combos, so you're constantly using them in battle, which makes combat feel much faster and more fluid. Another huge improvement is the day and night cycle. In the first game, nights felt like a punishment, enemies become impossible to ambush, and because nights lasted so much longer than the day, you spend most of every dungeon at a disadvantage. But here, you can camp at save points and choose the time of day whenever you want. Also, the days are a little bit longer and nights aren't nearly as punishing anymore. The dungeon crawling just feels so much less frustrating, and that actually ties into one of my favorite changes in the game, the dungeon crawling. So in this game, to get an advantage in combat, instead of having to swing at enemies on the overworld, every time you touch an enemy, a button prompt appears. Hit it correctly and you get the advantage. Miss it and the enemy gets the advantage. And this still works at night, unlike the first game, where nighttime automatically puts you at a disadvantage no matter how well you played. It's a really simple change, but it makes dungeon crawling so much fairer. Instead of trying to swing at an enemy sprinting towards you at 100 miles an hour, now it's entirely based on your own timing. And those same kinds of improvements carry over to the synthesizing system and the grow book as well. There's no more RNG when it comes to which party members help you synthesize or what effects they provide, because every party member is available from the start, each with their own synthesis skills, and they unlock even more as you progress through the game. The roulette system is still there, so there's still a bit of player skill and timing involved, but unlike before, every synthesis is now exact and predictable instead of relying on luck. On top of that, both items and equipment synthesis can now be done in the same place, so you're no longer running back and forth between different rooms just to craft different things. And just like the first game, character progression doesn't use traditional experience points. Instead of leveling up normally, you defeat enemies to earn ability points, and then spend those points to unlock nodes in the grow book. This time though, the grow book has been rebalanced. There are far more nodes to unlock, and you also seem to gain slightly less ability points. So instead of having a bunch of ability points and nothing to spend them on, you actually have to think about how you spend them and what to prioritize. And as you fill out more of a character's grow book, you unlock even more buffs, stat increases, and other upgrades as well. It's really frustrating because they clearly had something cooking here. They knew exactly what was wrong with the first game and fixed almost every mechanical problem I had, and not just me, I think a lot of other people had too, which makes it even harder to understand why the writing and characters felt like such an afterthought. So, this game is really hard to rate from 1 to 10. It's an amazing game with incredible gameplay and some of the most fun fights I've had in a turn-based game, but you also have to turn your brain off to enjoy it, because half of the game, the characters and the story is like fart in the wind. Every time you're not fighting or exploring, you get reminded that this game doesn't really care that much about its own story or characters. Except Punio. Punio is great. And instead of answering the questions it raises, it just keeps piling on more that never really gets addressed. If you only care about gameplay, then you absolutely have to play this game. But if you care more about story and characters, maybe not. Hey, that's just my thoughts though. Let me know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.